Welcome to the Controlled Health Podcast, where we discuss topics on whole body wellness so that you can take back control of your health. Hey guys, welcome back to the Controlled Health Podcast. I'm your host, Andrea, and I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner. My mission and passion is to help people take back control of their health. In today's episode, I'm going to chat a little bit about anxiety and depression. I have come across a few people who, I wouldn't say that I argued with them, but they had a really hard time understanding how lifestyle and diet can affect their mental health because they're just told that you have a chemical imbalance, right? And while that may be true, we have to understand why you have a chemical imbalance, like what is the root cause. So in today's episode, I'll talk a little bit about the gut-brain axis. I have my notes here, hold on. Yes, lifestyle, so how we can stop chasing like these really high dopamine, serotonin rushes. I'll talk a little bit about medication. I'm not a doctor, so I cannot tell you what to do with those. And of course, just a disclaimer, this episode and all episodes are for educational and entertainment purposes only. So please remember to seek out a trusted professional healthcare provider if you have any questions. And then, just some other things like counseling, prayer, and all those things that go along, right? I am very holistic minded, so I want to look at the whole body as a whole, but first I want to talk about the gut. Now, since my passion is nutrition and that's what I predominantly focus on with people, it's not always, how do I put this? If you are doing everything that I am talking about and you're still having trouble, that's when you should definitely start seeking a professional practitioner. If you're more holistic minded, someone like me, that we can take a look at if there's any other stressors like heavy metals or hidden infections like Lyme or mold. Those can also contribute to mental health issues, especially mold. It is a big one. So the gut-brain axis. Our brain is connected to our gut by the vagus nerve. You've probably heard of this since it's kind of been in the healthcare realm. If you do watch a lot of videos, if there's something going on in our gut, it will transmit that information to our brain and vice versa. I try to give the example of when you get really nervous or really anxious and sometimes you have to go to the bathroom or you get an upset stomach. It's the connection between those two. So if we are constantly eating foods that are fake and full of artificial colors, dyes, sugar, it is going to not only, one, mess with our microbiome, but it's also going to send signals to our brain that will cause a cascade of effects like inflammation and almost turn on like a danger response because this food is foreign to us. It's not real. It's not what God had created us to eat, is all this processed food. So that is definitely something that if you are struggling with anxiety and depression, that you should dial in immediately. I am a huge fan of carnivore, so if you can do a therapeutic carnivore diet for a while, that will definitely help. But if you are seeking help for anxiety and depression, please, please, please start with your diet. Cut out all processed seed oils, all artificial sugars, and just refined sugars, and just eat real food. One ingredient, whole food. That's beef and broccoli and rice. Like, stick to the simple one ingredient foods, and I guarantee that you will see an improvement in your health. Now, if your diet's good, that's awesome. Sometimes we do need a little bit of help, so adding like probiotic foods, because our microbiome can get out of whack, and those bacteria can actually not only change the way we think, but it can also make us crave things. So if people have a huge craving for sugary and processed food, it's probably because the bacteria and the infections, or I shouldn't say infections, the pathogens in our gut are craving those types of food. So it's really important to counterbalance that with the good bacteria so that we can balance out our microbiome. Most people have dysbiosis. People freak out, oh, I have dysbiosis, I have leaky gut. Yeah, most of the population has those things. So stop it. That's what I have to say about that. Just eat real food. Support local farmers, all that fun stuff. Now, there are a couple things in our life today that are influencing our dopamine and serotonin. That is obviously the blue screens, those colors, those lights, even like the artificial blue lights in front of us, and the fact that we are normally inside and sedentary. So the second thing that I would tell people is to start to move. And I know it is a fighting battle. I have dealt with mental health issues. A lot of people in my family deal with mental health issues, and some of them are currently on medications, which breaks my heart. But I can't change other people, right? So moving. And I'm sorry about this dog. You're gonna hear this a lot in these videos. Hopefully the mic muffles it a little bit, so that's good. Getting outside, sunrise in the morning, setting our circadian rhythm, getting enough sleep, right? These basic lifestyle things that we have abandoned as a culture, and that we almost take pride in our lack of self-care nowadays. It's so sad. Get 8 hours of sleep. Wake up with the sunrise. Don't look at your phone first thing in the morning. Get out, enjoy nature, barefoot, go touch some grass. This will send dopamine, serotonin, and maybe even oxytocin to our brain, but it's not like this huge spike of dopamine that you will get addicted to, like your phone, and so you're endlessly scrolling because it's like shooting that quick dopamine, and you're getting rid of it. I don't know too much about how all that works. I need to look more into it, but I know that the natural like oxytocin, hugging your loved ones, eating protein, believe it or not, eating foods that you like but obviously aren't processed. So try and flavor your food. Like, you don't have to eat bland ground beef. Add some onions, add some garlic, like, be happy about it. So movement, sunlight, if you aren't doing those two things, definitely start incorporating those. And I will have to add, some people are obviously stuck in situations that they can't get out of. A job they don't like, or maybe they wake up and they have to be at work before the sunrise. There's obviously tools and other modalities that you can use, like red light, saunas, get a gym membership, all those things. Find a community, especially like in the gyms. You definitely find some people who are like-minded and want to improve themselves. I think that would be an awesome thing to start doing if you're dealing with any sort of anxiety and depression. Now, I might touch a little bit on medication. I had a question asked about what to do if you are or if you had been taking these. I will suggest you go watch Mikhaila Peterson. She talks a lot about her and her dad's experience about getting off SSRIs. Again, I am not a doctor. I cannot tell you what to do with your medication, but what I've seen work best is obviously implementing the things that I just talked about, diet, lifestyle, and then slowly tapering off. You do not want to go cold turkey off antidepressants or any sort of SSRI or drug. The withdrawal symptoms can be very severe. Again, I don't fully understand, but I've seen it and I've heard other stories. Pretty much what happens, and this happens with most medications, but when you're taking this stimulant, your body will stop producing, or not fully stop, but it will stop producing enough because it's reliant on that drug. You become dependent on it, right? So slowly weaning off of it with the advice from your doctor is definitely the way to go. Plus, adding all those lifestyle changes is going to be super beneficial. I think that is the best way to combat withdrawal. And then, of course, looking at the prescription that you have and seeing if there was any sort of side effects, or not side effects, but if it caused any sort of nutrient deficiency. You can Google this or maybe even ask your doctor, but see specifically what nutrients that the prescription had depleted you in, and start supplementing with those. So I know a lot of medications will decrease magnesium, B vitamins, calcium, and stuff like that. So try to supplement with those if you can, so you can up your minerals and vitamins while weaning off the medication. Again, I don't know much about those, but that's what I've seen clinically as well, helping people do that. And also, you have to really want it, obviously. There's a part where you just have to understand that this is going to be really, really tough. And on those days, you need to just speak truth to yourself and say, I can do this. I know that this is going to happen. I know that I'm going to have these symptoms, and just really power through that journey. And this isn't a quick thing. This is going to probably take months or maybe even a year to wean off some of these things. Like I said, I cannot tell you what to do. But there are a lot of good doctors, even on YouTube, that kind of explain a process of how to wean off those medications. Okay, last but definitely not least, counseling and prayer. Everybody is different in the sense of maybe what their root cause is. So you can be having mental health symptoms but not have experienced trauma or anything along those lines, because it's stemming from somewhere else. And if you have covered all your bases, you're eating well, you're exercising, you're getting adequate sunlight, you're not doom scrolling, and you've done all of these things, and you're still dealing with a lot of anxiety and mental health issues, then that's definitely, obviously I would say talk to a counselor first, and add it into this regimen, but definitely seek out some sort of, not trauma therapy, but counseling. Me personally, biblical counseling is my favorite, because they speak truth over our lives, and they encourage us to seek the Lord for comfort in areas where we seem to be piling on all of this and wanting to take control, when that usually is what causes a lot of anxiety and depression, is because we're trying to take control of all the situations in our life, and the Lord has not designed us like that. He has designed us to be dependent on Him and trust in Him and have faith that His plan will come to fruition. And if we can rest in knowing that God's plan is good for us, and that no matter what we're going through, we can lay down our pride and lay down our need for control, a lot of your anxiety and depression will go away. So obviously, immersing yourself in scripture, in prayer, in fellowship, worshiping, singing. Music is amazing for these things. I know binaural beats is really good. And I've also found, this is not with the counseling and the prayer, but acupuncture has worked really well as well for me in certain situations, just to release some of that built up emotion and tension that I couldn't seem to figure out why I was holding on to these things. But first and foremost, definitely try and humble yourself and bring yourself to our Creator and say, I cannot do this. Share your emotions with Him. He is a God of understanding, and He will definitely shepherd you through those seasons. We are physical beings, second to a spiritual being. So we definitely need to take care of our soul and our spiritual being as well as our physical being. We don't just need to change our diet or need to go to counseling. We need to encompass the whole body, right? Holistically look at the body and see these areas in our lives that we can improve so that we can ultimately have abundant health. So again, I'm repeating myself, but if you are eating right and you're getting adequate sunlight and you're not doom scrolling and you look outside of your life and you're like, I have an amazing life, why do I feel this way? That is when you should start digging deeper into root causes. There are a whole list of things that can happen, and that's when you would want to seek out like a functional medicine practitioner to help you find the root cause. I really think that all of our health begins in our cell, so if we can upregulate that cell and its function, we can ultimately have the health that we want if you are struggling with chronic illness of any sort. So I'm going to touch a little bit on this, and I can make another video about it, but ultimately heavy metals cause so much neuroinflammation. If you have amalgam fillings, even the permanent retainer, I just got mine taken out. Some crowns will have heavy metals in it. Tattoos, if you have obviously like any plates or rods in your body, that is all leaching into your body. And our brain is made up of, I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, hopefully by now, it's made up of cholesterol or fat. And our body is really, really smart. And what it does is to help us stay alive is that it will push these heavy metals and chemicals into our brain or into fat tissue. Doing some sort of, not crazy detox, but working with a practitioner and getting to the root cause is definitely going to be something that you need to figure out if you're still dealing with these symptoms that you can't seem to figure out why. So I said heavy metals, Lyme infections or any other type of infection, and mold. Really, really big issues nowadays with the industrial buildings, and then Lyme is pretty rampant as well, and people just don't understand how that can affect them. And then trauma. I'm not a trauma expert, but I do there's a couple people that I listen to. One of them is Dan from Pain for You. He talks about mind-body connection. So if you are experiencing symptoms with the anxiety and depression, definitely check out his channel. There's so many tools out there that you don't need to first go to medication. And medications are there for a reason, and I'm not bashing that, but it should be your last resort. First should be diet, lifestyle, root cause, and then emergency medicine if needed. So that is all for today's podcast. I'm so glad to be back and sharing educational topics with you guys. If you're interested in hearing something that you specifically want to learn about, please comment below. I'd love to share my education and knowledge free to everybody and help you guys take back control of your health. So I'm looking forward to sharing next week, and always remember to eat your steak.